Welcome to another spoiler review episode. No, what's in the box? What's in the box? Join us for our deep dive into one of the greatest and gripping psychological crime thriller movies of all time, Se7en, starring Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. Hope you enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the spoiler special review of David Fincher's Se7en. We're just saying before, when did everyone last see it? So James, first of all.
Probably a year ago.
But you've seen it how many times?
Oh, at least 10.
Not
Drew?
7. About 3 hours ago.
Oh. And I went to see it a few days ago in IMAX on the re-release 30th year anniversary. Fuck me, we'll just go straight into it. But I mean, in fact, shall I tell the premise for the people that forgot or just want a refresher? Because it's not a difficult plot line. It's one sentence on the synopsis. It just says, 2 detectives, a rookie and a veteran, the rookie being Brad Pitt, the veteran being Morgan Freeman, hunt a serial killer who uses the 7 deadly sins as his motives. And that's as simple as it can put, but it's so much more detailed. Like even the intro, it's got 9 Inch Nails for the intro music, and the outro music, I thought, this is 9 Inch Nails again. And then David Bowie started singing. I'm like, what the? I forgot Bowie had his little industrial moment as well. He had like a couple of weird albums where he went a bit random. But yeah.
Can I start by saying something that I actually didn't think of till now?
Go on.
Morgan Freeman was cast in this. You might want to check the date, but I think it's due to the pure success, and I think he's almost carried the same character on from Kiss the Girls and Along Came a Spider.
No, that came after 7.
They were after 7.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure
That
they were.
surprised me.
Someone can fact check this.
Oh, I mean, I forgot to do it. I've already forgot my notes already. I was looking at my notes. I put it at the second, so I didn't say it first.
Just
right?
briefly in history, he was a detective, and then he kind of like flipped away from
he plays Alex Cross as the detective, yeah.
Also, Brad Pitt wasn't meant to get the part. It was meant to be Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman. That's the duo it was meant to be. But
really?
When we do these spoiler specials, I think what a good beginning would be to talk about, for just a minute or two, nothing to do with the film.
Just quickly, 7 was 95.
No,
Kiss the Girls was 97.
There we go.
And the other one was 2001.
There we go.
Long Came a Spider.
Of those 2 films now. So, what I think, like, do you guys remember 1995? You were like 10, 11, 12 and that.
Yeah, Toy Story came out that year.
So I think what's quite nice is like talking about the zeitgeist, what was around. Like in the charts, Celine Dion, Better Think Twice. Do you know that song?
Movie-wise, it was around the Jim Carrey boom.
And Cotton Eye Joe was out.
Speed.
From?
Gangster's Paradise was out.
Yeah,
like
Coolio.
Michael Jackson's Earth Song.
What about the Fugees?
No, just the ones I just mentioned.
That was what was out.
What kind of biscuits were around at that time, Kev?
There was loads.
Wait,
1995.
That Jagged Little Pill come out around that time?
1995 was the year of many notable events, including the end of the Bosnian War, the O.J. Simpson trial, and the first year of the internet's privatization.
Also, Disney Pixar was invented.
Pixar's first film, November 1995.
Nice.
And the Brixton riots happened.
And wasn't
there... Like, huh?
The Trio chocolate bar. I want a trio and I want one now.
Don't know what you're talking about.
You don't remember? Wasn't the Trio chocolate bar big in 95?
I have no idea. But yeah, so should go to the film first. I've written down a few notes, and then me and Drew have written down loads of notes because we watched it very, very recently. The first notes I wrote down that I didn't want to forget was that it was the same year. So when you watch Brad Pitt, like obviously you've just watched it today, didn't you think? I was like, it's got to be. He was doing lots of actions. I was like, that's what he does in 12 Monkeys. You know, when he's trying to be an insane person.
Yeah.
I looked at it, done the same year.
So you think he's just morphed?
I think he's a
It's
couple of
in a-
his 12 Monkeys mannerisms bled into Se7en, because he's perfectly normal Brad Pitt, and every now and again he gets really frustrated and he goes, actually,
Yeah, but I think that's actually a genius choice as an actor, because the character has to be so full with rage that he essentially becomes Raph. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of a clever foreshadow throughout that he's got a short fuse, right?
yeah.
So it's
And
actually
he's passionate.
Yeah.
Just a quick one, saying you said about 1995. You know how we were saying how last year was such a great year for movies?
You know, we're talking
Yeah.
about Se7en today now.
Yeah, which was released in 1995. No,
Yeah, but we're not
yeah.
talking about
It's
nine.
not
We
normal
just
episode.
did like
No,
2
but
minutes.
we were saying that was peak cinema back then, because just a few out of the block on that year were 12 Monkeys, like you mentioned, and then you had Outbreak, classic movie.
More monkeys,
Casino.
Yeah,
less monkeys.
Forget Paris, Billy Madison, Waterworld, love it or hate it,
Die Hard with a
iconic movie.
Vengeance.
Yeah, Assassins, Casper, the first Wallace and Gromit.
I can't believe you haven't said Usual Suspects yet.
Not yet, no.
Or
Dangerous Minds, Apollo 13.
Yeah, Heat.
Wow.
Die Hard with a Vengeance, Bad Company, Crimson Tide, Dread, Johnny Mnemonic, which I loved, Batman Forever.
Mortal Kombat. Money Train.
Oh yeah, with Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, so there's a lot in there.
It was
But
a
yeah,
pre-love from. It was a sequel from White Men Can't Jump.
so to go into, let's go back to Se7en. I think this is a fact that everyone knows, that Kevin Spacey is not in the initial credits,
Mhm.
and apparently it was his decision that he was
Never
to not be in
noticed
it. He appears in the credits twice at the end.
That's why it goes in reverse. The credits go in reverse, which is really clever.
That's something you lose
Yeah.
back in the day. Remember when the credits were at the beginning of the film?
Yeah, but dude, what's so clever about Se7en is the credits normally go up like that in movies, but in Se7en they go down. So it shows Kevin Spacey as it keeps going down.
But can you remember that in
There
film?
we
When does
go.
that stop with like the credits,
And-
like a slow music playing in the background, and the credits would
And
come up
Kevin
at the beginning?
Spacey also displayed a bit of the same limp from Usual Suspects
That's what I
in
was
Se7en
thinking.
as well.
Yeah. A little homage.
And
Maybe he had a bunion.
also, do you know who was meant to play Kevin Spacey's role? Was meant to be the bad guy.
Let me guess.
We talked about him in our previous episode briefly. To be
Robin
specific,
Williams.
Dev
you,
Patel.
you talked about him.
Robin Williams.
Val Kilmer.
Wouldn't have worked.
No, I don't think so either. He refused the role. Like, he didn't miss out.
Val
He said
Kilmer's
no.
like I'm a murderer that you think, yeah, you kill me, but whereas Kevin Spacey's more like down to earth guy, you think unassuming, pretty safe.
Well, you know what's crazy? In the storyboard, and I'll show you this in one point, in the storyboard, John Doe's character actually looks a lot more like the Riddler, which I think is interesting.
What, green hat, question marks all over him?
Well, no, but he's got like glasses on and he looks quite dorky, like the Riddler. But something I wanted to say was with the title sequence at the very beginning. So not only is the music so unsettling at the beginning, you're watching somebody kind of slice off their fingertips with a razor, and you're seeing all of the plotting and the planning that's going into the 7 deadly sins. So we get a kind of insight into John Doe before we even know who he is. And then what I think is very clever is that the last line of the title sequence says, "You got me closer to God." And then it kind of echoes into this kind of haunting crescendo.
That's a 9 Inch Nails lyric as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
You get me closer to God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check this
That
out.
was also
And
a
there's a
song that
picture
Limp
of a-
Bizkit ripped off, you remember, Kev?
There's a picture of a pregnant woman in that beginning as well.
Kev, can you remember when Limp Bizkit ripped that song off?
No.
Yeah, that song they completely ripped off. I'll try and find it. Yeah, completely ripped it off.
Can we talk? Let's talk about Se7en only. Yeah, let's
They
do that
even
now.
say in the lyrics, 9 Inch Nails can shut the fuck up.
So,
That's corn.
here's some interesting things. The film is 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Oh yeah.
It takes place over 7 days.
It doesn't though, does it? Doesn't
No,
it?
it's supposed to, because he says in 7 days you're supposed to retire. But that's talked about throughout the film. Hang on. Then he says it's seven deadly sins. He shoots him 7 times, and upon watching it again today, the parcel with Tracy's head in is supposed to arrive at 7 o'clock in the field.
And it arrives at like 2 minutes or 6 minutes past 7 or something.
Yeah.
But also, it's not 7 days. I could be wrong, but because the days come up at the beginning of each scene, don't they? Tuesday, Wednesday. But because they catch him in the hallway and he has to shoot them, he doesn't do a murder, so it gets delayed. So it's meant to be 7 days.
It messes
out of sequence because of that. So he has to delay things.
So it shows cause and effect.
Yeah.
Also, let's go on with cause and effect. Another part is, so when Brad Pitt's character, David Mills, says, just because he's got a library card doesn't make him fucking Yoda, right? Which plants the seed in Somerset to go, oh, I know a dodgy guy from the FBI that we might be able to track his reading habits.
Yeah.
And that's actually the catalyst for which leads them to go into the house to then break in, to then take him off course, so that the 7 days of each murder goes off track, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Go on. Sorry.
Here's another cool thing. Most of the scenes are dark, claustrophobic, and it's raining pretty much for all of the build-up of trying to go through this kind of maze that John Doe is putting the 2 detectives through, right?
Yeah.
In the final moments, when they're kind of putting the wire on and they're getting ready for the car, I was saying it's the darkest scenes that are shot in the lightest and brightest of conditions.
Well, that's the point of the film. It's like I heard a fact as well. Like when they're filming it, it's pretty much all rainy, and it's all crap, isn't it? It's like bad weather. And I think they said something like they wanted to film it bad weather so that if there was a bad weather day, they could still film.
Ah, that's clever.
But I mean, I'm sure they wanted the ambience of that, but it was also a practical aspect as well, a little bit.
Well, but I thought the contrast is really clever, though, because if you think, when they say the light is darkest just before the day, or whatever they say, dawn is dark. Yeah. There's an element of that in the fact that it's a beautiful shot. Like, it's the sun coming up. It's like in this golden kind of fields, that is kind of desert, and it's beautifully shot, and it's a lovely day. But it's the darkest things that are about to go down, darker than any kind of basement, darker than the rain, darker than the kind of the sex dungeons and all that crazy stuff.
Did you notice a mistake at the end though? This I've not read. I noticed this, and I had to Google afterwards, right?
What's that?
The helicopter flying over the top, and he can't land or go close because of all the telephone wires.
Yeah.
Like, so he's picked the place deliberately, but he's like scouting around. No place for him to ambush. No place. It's clear. The next fucking second, there's a massive fucking trailer that anyone could have jumped out and ambushed them, but they didn't. It's just a big trailer park in the middle of nowhere.
Oh yeah, where they fly over. Yeah.
Nothing happens. It doesn't do. It's not part of anything, but the camera
could have been inside the caravan.
Yeah, probably. That's it. Yeah. But they're like, clear, nowhere for ambush. Unbelievable. They missed that bit.
Well, that's typical cops, just not searching the area. The thing that I think is actually really clever as well, before we delve deep into like the kills and stuff.
Your cat just popped over your shoulder like a parrot.
Oh yeah. Hey. So you've got gluttony, greed, sloth, lust, and pride take place in the city, and they're actual events that they turn up to, right? That have been pre-planned.
You only named 5.
No, hear me out.
Exactly, because the last 2 are one day.
They've been pre-designed by John Doe, and the last 2 is a physical manifestation of John Doe and a transformation of David Mills.
Yeah, his envy and
his wrath.
Yeah, David Mills' wrath. Yeah,
and again, I think I told you, and it's on my DVD version of the film. The alternative ending is Somerset pulls his gun on Mills, so you've got two guns on each other, almost a bit like Reservoir Dogs.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, stop pointing that gun at my dad! Like you've got the two guns on each other. John Doe's in the middle, and it looks like he's going to shoot Mills to stop him from shooting John Doe. But then, like in this whole kind of like build-up tension, he shoots John Doe because he says someone has to take my place in the original script. And like Mills is like, what are you talking about? And he's about to shoot John Doe. Somerset kills John Doe, and he says, why did you do that? And then his response is, I'm retired, which I thought was so cool, man.
Oh, that's
Either
cool.
way, Andrew Kevin Walker wrote this script. Either ending would have been fucking awesome.
I think they picked the right one because you wanted a devastation and not a happy ending, really.
Oh yeah, it's so bleak the way that
it would have been fine either way. But that's the two end shot. Well, not the end shot. It's right. So there's a couple of scenes where the camera, because you watch films that are back in the 90s, and most of the shots are fairly simple. Nothing extravagant about the cinematography. It was a bit more simpler back then.
Yeah,
weird shit. But the bit where Brad Pitt's chasing Kevin Spacey.
Oh yeah,
he bashes him over the head. And Brad Pitt's like knackered. And then because we're not allowed to see the guys, we still don't know it's Kevin Spacey yet. It's the close up of the gun and the barrel, like really close up of that, and just a blurry face.
Yeah, in the rain.
And all the water running. I was like, that's sick. And then the end scene is Brad Pitt holding the gun. The gun's kind of blocking his face, and you just see his in tears, and close up of the gun again. It's like they've just gone, you did it to me, I'm doing it to you, and I'm gonna fucking follow through.
Wow.
I was like, that's
what was in the box.
That is cool.
It's the head. She says it.
Oh
no, you don't.
That's
you don't.
That's the Mandela effect.
Says it.
Yeah, he says it. You don't see it. James is absolutely right, because again,
you don't see anything.
Yeah, but I said in one of the episodes, I said you see her hair, but you don't see anything.
I thought it might have been the baby.
It's
it 100% is. It goes, my deadly sin is envy. I'm envious of your relationship and your normality. And I met your wife today, and I took a souvenir, her pretty little head.
Yeah. And
says it very clearly.
And also the way it constantly builds up the tension is because Somerset says over the radio, he says, John Doe has the upper hand. And you're like, it's just so, oh man, it's such a
first time we saw Gwyneth Paltrow?
Huh?
First time we saw Gwyneth Paltrow?
No.
Yeah. Well,
in the film, no.
She did Sliding Doors before that, man, wasn't she?
I didn't see that when I was little.
Quite a few things beforehand, yeah.
When I was like 10, I wasn't watching Sliding Doors.
What I would say, again, from brilliant writing, is she's not just the kind of the female character that's like crying and pouring wine or being like overly sexed like symbol, right? What I think she's
barely in it.
Zero of that.
No. But what I think's amazing is she is she's the kind of conduit for the audience, right? She's like this kind of the kind of warm nature. She brings David and William together. Basically, she gets them close together. She shows the vulnerability and the concern of the town. She is the kind of sweet, innocent one that is, there were like love interests from a young age.
And she gets described as the ray of sunshine in a bleak film.
Yeah, 100%.
Because she confides in him about the baby, not in, and that's the point when he says, don't tell him if you're going to get rid of it. Don't tell him because I was told and I made her do it and I barely lived with myself. Yeah.
And then he says on the flip side, he says, but if you do keep that baby, you spoil it any chance you can get. And then she breaks down because it's like, they build up the world of the kind of hardship that it's like, there's some brilliant lines in the bit in the pub when it's Mills and Somerset when he says, it's easier to steal than it is to earn. It's easier to beat a child than it is to raise it. And he talks about all these really clever kind of like the polarities in life and how it's so easy to take the easy way out, which is not always the right way. It kind of just builds that picture of how bleak this city is. and like Somerset when he's going to the library to get the books on like Seven Deadly Sins and like the kind of
all the poets and writers of old where it gets mentioned.
Canterbury Tales and
all
all that.
All the clues are in and stuff. Yeah.
When he gets in the car and the taxi driver says, "Where are we going?" He says, "Far, far away from here." And it's the idea, and you even see like the chaos on the street, and he talks about somebody walking the dog getting stabbed in the eyes of a screwdriver. It shows how bleak and how chaos is just spilling into this city. And
as he's driving away, there's a dead body. There's police with a dead body on the side of the road. But that was the beauty of the Paltrow being in there, because she's even a bleak moment where they're in the apartment, and this is a nice couple, and they're living in a fucking dive, and the train goes past, and they all start laughing.
Yeah.
I thought it's a nice little.
There's a lot of comedy in it. There is a lot of comedy, even though it's a very dark, bleak film. Upon rewatching it for like the 25th time or something, there's a lot of humor throughout.
Did you guys notice? James will definitely have picked up on this as well. Is that in the library, when Morgan Freeman goes to the library, one of the guards at the top is the same guy from Speed.
Yeah,
he's in the car.
Shot on the bus. It's the bus driver.
That's it.
Yeah, the original bus driver.
Yeah,
he gets shot.
Who's like in nothing else.
Guy.
Yeah, dude, the second bus driver is Sandra Bullock, so of course it's
the Mexican guy, sort of thing. You'd say.
Yeah,
that's him. But there's loads of great shots. Like I said, it was not over the top with the great shots, but the end scene of them driving to the location where you see John Doe's through the bars the entire time.
Yeah. Oh, I wrote about this.
Good. I just think it's a really good shot because it's labored on him for such a long time, and it's just battle of wits, really, isn't it?
I put the final act is the most sinister and ambiguous in its tension. The car ride becomes a confession booth for Doe in the way that it's shot as he explains his sins to Mills.
And he's teasing him at the same time because he knows he's got that extra surprise.
He's like, "Oh, I remember knocking on your door." And he's like, "Oh, yeah. And I broke your face." And it's like this really clever tennis match that they're having in this car. It's so good. I could just watch it again right now. Like it is. Here's the thing. In 30 years,
such a great movie.
There has never been a better psychological thriller. And I don't think anything will match Seven.
Oh no, Usual Suspects better.
I watched Usual Suspects this week. Not as good.
It's not better than Seven, mate.
Nowhere near.
But what I think it is.
It's just not. It's just not as interesting.
The dialogue, right? Let's just say the dialogue, for example, as well. This is how well written it is by Andrew Kevin Walker. Sorry. Even like minor characters have some of the most profound and poetic things to say. So like, there's a brilliant bit where after is it the sloth one where the guy's on the bed?
First one, yeah.
No,
second one. Sorry. Second,
third one. It's the third one, but the sloth one where he's lied to the bed, and you've got all those dangling air fresheners, which is really eerie, man, and so memorable. There are so many iconic shots in this film, but yeah, when they take him to hospital, and then the doctor says something like,
they don't like him because he's a prick anyway. He's a bad guy, isn't he?
I'm almost paraphrasing. Yeah, he's like a drug dealing pedophist, right? A pedophile. But he was saying something like, he says that man has endured more pain and suffering than any patient I have ever witnessed, and he still has hell to look forward to. I'm like, that's a line, dude. This is why this film will go down in history forever. The dialogue,
that's one of the greatest films of all time.
Yeah, mate, the dialogue is so good in this film. Like, you can watch any scene and it is just littered with...
They'll never make another film like before again.
That's what I'm saying.
Listen to this. Gwyneth Paltrow voice was used in one of my favorite band songs. So James will be bored of me saying this.
Is it about a candle?
Every Time I Die, the first song on Every Time I Die's first album is called Emergency Broadcast Syndrome. Sounds like this.
I hate this city.
We all know about her candle,
city.
Don't we?
It's Seven. It's from Seven.
You know the candle she released that cost £200?
Oh, I'm not talking about Vagina Goop. We did that.
Jesus.
That's what's wrong with her.
But yeah,
Wait for candle days, dude. This is like, here's a line.
Paltrow.
Mate, here's a line I didn't realize, right? Upon watching it today, and I was like, I never heard this line before. And maybe if I tell you, you might not recognize it. If John Doe's head splits open and a UFO should fly out, I want you to have expected it.
Don't remember that.
That is the very opening line. You know when they're shaving to put the hidden wires on, and then Brad Pitt says, "Oh, if I accidentally shave off a nipple, do you think I can, get some time off for it?" And he was like, "Yeah, maybe." And that's when they joke again. He says, "I'll buy you another nipple if you let me," or something.
I swear that's got to be ad lib. No one's written that line. That seems like them just messing around a little bit and having a laugh.
What the nipple bit?
Yeah. I felt that felt like a really genuine laugh when they were joking.
The UFO bit is just like, some bits I reckon are improvised. Always learn new things and discover new lives.
Oh, by the way, just that voice thing. It's where she says, "I hate this city," when it's her sitting with Morgan Freeman, talking about the baby. That's the same LA diner that was used in Training Day in 2001 with Denzel and Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, I recognize that.
Sorry, Drew, you were about to say.
No, I was just going to quote some other great lines, like, and you can see how John Doe is kind of like piecing together his plan, and it's all kind of going the way he wants. So no matter how they put it in a different trajectory because of them interrupting his flow, he still manages to like kind of pull off a kind of check move. Do you know what I mean? So when he says, "You can't see the whole complete act yet, people won't be able to deny." He's like, "I can't wait for you to see. It's really going to be something." And then David Mills replies, "I'll be right with you. So you be sure to tell me this thing because I wouldn't want to miss it." And then he says, "You won't miss it. You won't miss a thing," right? And that's done in such a sinister way. And I put, this is indicating he's taken away everything in his life. He's taken away Mills' life, his wife, his child, his career, his freedom.
And you won't miss a thing. Do you reckon that's got double meaning? Like, you will miss everything.
That's what I mean. You won't miss a thing in the sense that you're not going to miss what I'm going to show you because there will be nothing after that. Like
that's also when Brad Pitt goes, "You're no Messiah. You're a movie of the week. You're a fucking t-shirt at best." And he's 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, pointing.
Mannerisms.
Yeah, I love it. Which is almost foreshadow because it's a gun because he does the same thing.
Yeah.
And I know we talk about this, he shoots him 7 times. I think it's genius. Like, I love it how they just, let's throw in as many little meta 7s in there. And then he says, you get such enjoyment in torturing those people. And when Somerset's trying to say, "Why do you take pride in your work?" And he says, "Oh, you're just turning each sin." He says, "I turn each sin against the sinner." And then Brad Pitt says, "Oh, I just thought you killed innocent people." And he's like, "Innocent people? Is that a joke? Even in a world this shitty, could you even try to say these were innocent people and keep a straight face?" But that's the point. We see a deadly sin on every street corner and we tolerate it. It's really clever because they've kind of done a Thanos thing, that even though the messed up things he's doing, they're dark people he's doing it to.
It just hits hard. I can't believe that I've seen the film that many times, and when I watched it again, I was gripped, and I know the ending.
Yeah,
I was like, I couldn't think
about
about
it. Watch it again tonight. Is it on a Netflix
good.
or anything?
It's on the cinema.
Well, dude, this is what I said the other day.
It's anywhere right now.
This is what I said the other day when Kevin texts you and it says rent or buy. I says no one is renting 7. If you don't buy 7, you're crazy, man.
It's on Prime now for $3.50.
Yeah, look, dude, to buy $4.99.
I'm looking right now,
mate. Buy it $4.99.
It's one of those films that I always remember being brilliant, but I haven't watched it in ages. And it's definitely jumped up to be easy in my top 10, I think, now.
Oh, mate, it's
Okay,
always
got it.
mate. It'll be in my top 5. It might even be my number 1. And I've seen Inception like 200 times. But
There was like a couple of things. Like you know, the helicopter guy that I was mentioning before. There's the radio. He's
yeah,
the same guy that is one of the first people to break into the sloth place.
yeah,
Gun. But that's John McGinley from
TV
Scrubs,
series, Scrubs. Yeah.
Point Break, and he also plays pretty much the same part in The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
He's like an SAS guy in The Rock, or like a Marine or something like that.
True.
And he was more recently in the film that James likes, Belko Experiment. He's good in that as well.
Good movie.
Did you notice though? Kevin Spacey is only in the film for half an hour, and he's that amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what he's done. You can't take that performance away from him.
Yeah, never. And I love the dark comedy. You know, they go, there's 2 bodies, and we're trying to find them, and then there's the dead dog, and he goes, "I didn't do that.
That's not mine," or something. Yeah.
He
like
says,
that.
"I didn't do that." But yeah, it's just so clever how everything links up. So like he takes the hand off the sloth guy to leave the fingerprints that say "help me" behind the picture frame in the greed one.
Yeah,
So
from
then
the lawyers.
he highlights the eyes around the wife of the lawyer, so that they then have to flip, so they can see that the picture's upside down in order to find the fingerprints. So then they put them through the test, because they're detectives that will then link to the house where the slot. It's like, it's mind blowing.
The eye thing. I didn't click on that. I just thought it was like they go because it's only her that would spot that the abstract painting is upside down.
Yeah,
And that is so subtle because he's on a time schedule. They've got to find Sloth next.
yeah.
And it's exactly 1 year to the day. So they're just lucky that she spotted that.
Yeah.
Because if she hadn't, that could have fucked his entire plans up.
Yeah, true. But I think again that there's like a kind of a surety, like a true kind of arrogance to John Doe, which I love. That it's like everything he knows, because of the powers that be have said that this is his chosen. He's like, he can't go wrong. He can't set a foot wrong, because it's all kind of preordained. But it's the way that he's orchestrated every single thing. And mate, that bit with, it's like each one, someone said the other day, it's like, it's even more brutal than the Jigsaw movies, right? And yet it's nowhere near as gory. It's just because of the pure brutality and the kind of thought that goes into how these people were tortured. So like the guy that bursts to the point of eating far too much spaghetti.
The description was better than the visual.
Yeah, and he's handcuffed under the table, right? So you've got that bit. Then you've got the idea of someone chopping off the side, a pound of flesh on a weighing scale.
Yeah.
And then you've got lust, but it's like carved, like brutally carved into the wooden door of the whorehouse. And then he's built that thing for that guy who's an amazing actor. That one scene of the guy that was like, he put that thing on me. Oh God, he had a gun in my mouth. You know that scene? Like
he goes, the gun was in his throat.
Yeah, he's like, it's like, oh God.
He was because he hyperventilated to do the scene, didn't he? He literally did that.
He's amazing, but again, like, when we talk about echoes to things, you can see why Matt Reeves has borrowed lots of wonderful things from Se7en. When we're talking about the most recent Batman, which one is it? Yeah, the one with Rob Pattinson and
the Batman.
Yeah. Zoe Kravitz and all that. But yeah, there's a bit where one of the Skarsgård's brothers, he's like, when he's got that thing around his neck, he hit that bit is like the bit with the interrogation where he goes, oh my God, he starts to kind of like hyperventilate and say, he put that thing around me. Like, and there's loads of little nuances. So then the bit where they go to John Doe's house and they start reading scriptures from his journal, right? And then again in the new Batman film, you've got Morgan Freeman. You've got Jeremy. Oh God, Jeremy Wright. You've got Jeremy Wright as
who's Jeremy Wright?
Got Jeremy Wright as Gordon in the new Batman films.
Oh, sorry, right, yeah.
Sorry, I was doing too many jumpings. But he's reading the scripture from the Riddler's diary, and it's very echo and very kind of reminiscent of Se7en when he's talking about, it goes, the day in a life of what the Riddler's been going through. and you could just see all of the subtleties to Se7en, and it's incredible, and how they even say it's 1 year today that this thing happened, and the Riddler is setting up all these traps for the Batman and the Lieutenant Gordon, and it's very reminiscent of Se7en, basically.
No, I like that, and as well, I think we all knew as well, but Brad Pitt said that the producers or the production company or whoever did it, Universal, Paramount, whoever, wanted to have a nicer ending, and Pitt said that he refused to play the role unless it was exactly the way it was written. So there's lots of things. When you think about a film, you just think, oh, it happened. But the amount of turning cogs to make something happen is unreal. Like people refusing to do stuff, or he's got enough clout. Brad Pitt he was big, but he wasn't that big then.
Yeah.
No.
But it's a respectful choice, like you're saying. It's like, no, let's keep it to the original recipe, like the way it was supposed to be. Here's something though. Upon watching it again, you can actually see that in real life, Morgan Freeman was so good with that knife that he gets it on the bullseye the first time, and you see him pull it out. Yeah. And I was saying, he's so good with that knife. I would have loved to see Somerset like throw that and it goes in John Doe's leg, or maybe that's how he got the limp. It would have, something like that would have been really cool to see. It's like all of the skills that Somerset has, he never gets to use. But again, building the tension.
He's alluding to his dark past and what he's been through and why he's.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He's building,
and that's why that's why he can't sleep at night. I think he's got a very kind of, his subconscious has been so tortured with the things that he's witnessed. And that's why he wants to leave.
Yeah, because Pitt goes, I ain't no rookie. I've worked homicide for 5 years. Yeah. He goes, you ain't done that here, though.
Yeah, but I love it. He goes, this isn't my first, this ain't my first rodeo. I haven't been stood outside guarding the Taco Bell. It's like, there's so many great lines in it. Like, but their relationship is brilliant as well. When he says, he goes, listen, he goes, I'm gonna be straight with you. He's like, good, because I'm about ready to punch you. And it's like their dynamics. Their character thing is very kind of like trains, planes, and automobiles. Their relationship is so funny.
But that's it, because the rookie, even though he's not a rookie, but he's looking up to him a little bit. But in most of these sort of buddy films where there's two people or different backgrounds coming together, there's usually a moment of respect or whatever. In this, Brad Pitt doesn't give a fuck. He's a dog with a bone. He wants to get shit done. Morgan Freeman, in fact, is actually in his way, but then Morgan Freeman comes in with the envelope and goes, there's all the solutions for you. I've done all the work for you. You crack on. And then it just kind of ends up getting tied in again.
Well, I put, actually, I was, again, with some of my notes, I was putting that Somerset does everything by the book and he follows protocol, whereas Mills is wild card.
Well, and Morgan Freeman's the biggest wild card because he's the one that gets the dodgy guy involved.
Yeah. Which is actually, again, another link to Batman. He plays one of the corrupt cops in the Batman Begins. He's the one that gets pulled up by the foot.
Oh yeah.
What's the matter? Don't they? He's like, hey, come on, I got kids to feed. He's like, what? They don't like falafel? He's that guy. But yeah, I was going to say here, what I love about the polarity of the two characters, Somerset and Mills. We open with Somerset alone at home, struggling to sleep with that clock going. And then when we open up on, we see Mills arm in arm with his wife. So you've instantly got the kind of two, one's a kind of lonesome, kind of lost character that's like trying to cling on to the past. And one's kind of a new, fresh, in love. And she even says Serpico. She says, we might want to get rid of that bit of sleep in your eyes, Serpico. Which is, again, another hint to a police movie with, Al Pacino. What did I put here? The way they build the tension is incredible. So in the very first, the first murder, which was gluttony before we know what it is. So the way that they use all the B shots to build the tension, you've got all the rain outside, you've got police kind of like saying certain things to the detectives, and they're saying that guy's had his face in a plate full of pasta. And he's like, hey man, if he ain't breathing, he'd be breathing spaghetti sauce. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's so surreal, the stuff they're talking about. Then when they go through, you've got this eerie kind of like cans upon cans of spaghetti. Then you've got like bugs crawling across the floor. And it's not until the two detectives split that you see this guy that's almost like the size of 4 people. And that shot is so powerful. And then more and more stuff's building. And like they can't even turn the lights on because like the bills probably weren't paid. So they have to get their torches out. So it becomes even more atmospheric.
Yeah, because rather than seeing a dead body or a crime scene, they've built it up so you feel sticky and icky and horrible. It's not just, oh, there's a bloody guy. It's
Yeah. And it puts you off spaghetti. And then that guy comes in and he's covered in rain. And for some reason, the rain just adds something, and like the really scary music building underneath. And then he's like, oh, there's something, and there's a bucket under the table. What's in it? He's like, whoa! It's like everything's building towards something. Then the other detective comes in and he starts doing like some kind of like, checking the body for certain things. And then he tries to turn the lights on, and it's quite meta because he goes, oh, moody, very nice. So it's almost like saying, so the way it's written, yeah, it's moody and atmospheric, and like a character hints at that.
He's like, oh, David Fincher in here somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I love, that there is some kind of like hidden kind of Brechtian moments in the script connected to the writer, which I think is really, really cool. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, because at the cinema last week they had they called it the David Fincher season, and they played. I only saw 7, unfortunately. Just don't have enough time to see them all. But they played 7, The Social Network, Gone Girl, and Zodiac in IMAX.
Yeah.
So I watched Zodiac at home.
Love those films, man. Love all those films.
Sorry, and Zodiac's got like it's fucking Iron Man and the Hulk.
Zodiac's Jake Gyllenhaal, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
love that movie.
They're just known throughout the film at the very beginning as Detective Mills and Detective Somerset, right? It's not until and there's that brilliant bit where Brad Pitt takes over the office, and there's that guy, and he's scratching the name. He's scratching Somerset off the door. And he's like, hey,
stop that.
Can you not do that, please? But then what's cool is, and again, this is what I mean about the clever elements of how they create comedy in such a bleak film. When they come in, and it's almost like a play, because he sits down at that table, and then he's like, oh, where do I sit? He's like, oh, you can sit there. That desk is yours. And then he starts getting down to work. Then the phone rings. Brad Pitt doesn't know what to do, and he's like, "Oh, it's a package deal, man. It comes with the desk."
Yeah, he goes phone. He goes,
yeah,
comes to the office.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then he speaks, and he tries to be all cool about it, Detective such and such, and then he realizes it's his wife, Tracy, and then he's like, "No," and you can see him getting all uncomfortable and embarrassed. He's like, "Okay,"
and it gets better at the end.
And then you could see that Somerset is like he wants to recline this offer, but you can imagine her saying, "I won't take no for an answer." And he's like, "Well, okay, I'd be delighted." And then he hands the phone back, but then she's hung up at that point. So then when he goes,
"Hey," looks like an idiot, he's like, "Oh."
Yeah, and that's what I mean about the comedy. Then he puts the phone down, so now he's out.
He doesn't say anything. He's just like,
he's out of the loop. Then he looks to Morgan Freeman, goes, "What was that about?" And he's like, "Oh, I've just been invited to your house for a late supper." He's like, "What?" And he's like, "I accepted." It's like mic drop. It's like, it's so funny. It's really
only accepted because he knew it'd annoy him a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's like a bit of salt in the wounds. But my link to that is Tracy then says, when they sit at the table, she goes, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Oh, come on, baby, don't be like that." And he's like, she's like, "What is your name?" And he says, "William." And she goes, "William, this is David. David, William." And it's a very clever bit of writing, because they're no longer just detectives with just surnames. They start to form a bond that night, because when she goes to bed, they're still up looking at the case, and it shows how the cases kind of haunt the minds of detectives and they can't rest. He doesn't sleep for a while after that. Have you noticed that there's scenes where you see him sleeping, but pretty much he gets caught up in it? They're like, we got to go ask this girl some questions. But then when he says, "I'm going to get another beer, do you want something?" Right? He then says, "Wine, please." And there's a really brilliant bit where he puts the wine in like a kind of a long, tall glass.
Yeah,
tall glass. And then he hands it to him. And it's not till later on, when the house shakes again, that the Morgan Freeman picks it up and then like looks at it. And it's like a beautiful little moment of going, you put red wine in a fucking tall glass. Like it's really little subtleties that builds.
I didn't notice that, because he drank from a normal red wine glass earlier at the table.
Yeah, but it's also a typical bloke, as in like, oh, I can't be asked to find like the red wine glasses. I'll just put it in it's a cavalier attitude again that shows you something about Brad Pitt's character.
Yeah.
It's really clever little details that are been kind of weaved throughout the script. But also, have you noticed that in every new murder scene, we learn something new about David Mills or Somerset, or they ask each other questions about something they've done previously. So even though they're out of the loop in regards to trying to figure out who's responsible for these murders, they're learning more about each other. So there's even a contrast in every single murder scene, which I think is really cool.
Pretty good film, I'd say.
Pretty bloody good film. Go bloody watch it.
Yeah, I think it's like absolute 100% top tier. James,
Yeah.
you going to watch it like tonight? Are you?
I'm gonna watch it in a minute. Yeah.
I was going to say John Doe pretending to be a paparazzi as well, and then he gets David's picture.
Oh, it's a good.
Just love it.
That's
Such
a good scene,
film.
isn't it?
And then we learn
We had him.
Yeah, and we learn about David's anger issue. Yeah, David's anger issues there because he's probing him at that point and going, "Could you become Raph?" Because when I watched it recently, I'm looking at all of the clues that gives John Doe everything he needs. So when you watch it for the first time and the gun's on his head and you go, oh, he's just letting him off because maybe Morgan Freeman's running down, he's not got enough time to shoot him. It's because he's got something much darker in mind.
Always part of the plan.
Yeah, because it's all part of the plan. It is very similar, though, I was going to say, actually, to the Joker, because when he manipulates Harvey Dent, he turns Harvey Dent into Raph, essentially. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end. So he does the exact same thing. So when he gets the box delivered to split Somerset from Mills, because Somerset is like the voice of reason, he removes the angel, right? So it's just the devil. And I think someone was saying the way it's done is like on the left and the right. I think it is symbolic of angel, devil. Then he starts whispering stuff to him. Says, "Oh, now that he's gone, we can finally talk." Then he starts putting all these things into his mind and like manipulating him. And then on the side of the van that turns up with the box, did you notice that it's got wings? So it's almost like it's angelic. So the company is in like, we deliver fast, like boxes with wings, but it's almost like the angelic version of Tracy being taken.
I wonder if we're reading into that bit too much, or if that was deliberate. It'd be interesting to know.
I'd love to know
himself. If
I might watch
did you plan that?
I might watch the commentary. Well, there's a close-up bit of the box with wings.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they've got to have designed something for it because it's not a real thing, isn't it? Unless it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So so there must be a meaning.
FedEx, or you're like, oh, FedEx has got a bad name for delivering heads to people now. You're like, oh,
yeah. Who's going to deliver out to the middle of nowhere? Yeah. So that's why he said it's not a delivery guy, is it? Technically, he goes.
Oh yeah, he's like, oh,
$500
to come out here at 7:00. It's like, well, that's not the way to get ahead in life, you know.
Yeah, that's the way, literally, to get ahead.
yeah.
He got ahead.
Yeah, he got ahead.
Yeah. Wow. Brilliant.
Well, you can buy it online on Prime for $4.99.
Can I say a couple more things? Can I say a couple more things just real quick? Because I'm
yeah.
Also, Zodiac is free. Watching that tonight.
I was going to say, after Mills gets beaten up, when he tries to break into Doe's apartment, it's the one time when Somerset swears in the whole film, and he swears twice in that one little scene.
What did he say?
He says, if you break this door and we get him, the fucker will walk. As in, like, there's nothing we can do because we can't. There's no way we can explain how we got here. So you will have evidence where you can, like, the whole case will fall. And then after, when he kicks the door open, he says, I think he says, "You fucking idiot" or something. But it's the only moment in the whole film where Somerset swears, because all the way through he's very kind of by the book and doesn't really do that.
Very composed.
And then with the gun, and again, this is what's brilliant about building the tension in the third act. It's like it goes to the point where it pushes characters to their absolute limits. So when Morgan Freeman says, I only ever carry a gun, I never want to use it, in that final moment, he fires the gunshot in the air. He says, on my signal, and he fires it in the air to stop the van from pulling up. So it's like it's putting him to his limits where he doesn't even want to.
Yeah, because Morgan Freeman says, I've only drawn my gun like once or twice, and I've never pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
And and that shows his discipline in his long career. Whereas Brad Pitt goes, I've pulled it once, I've shot it once.
Yeah.
In my short career. And because his friend got shot and it spun him round, didn't it?
Yeah, he said spun him like a top.
yeah.
What's his name again? It's just so well written.
That got a relevance. The fact he couldn't remember the name of the person that got shot. I'm trying to think if there was more meaning behind that we missed. Like that was John Doe, back in the day, and it was his fault that he got shot, and now he's on this rampage, and that's why he's the end.
I think that's
I'm reading into that one too much.
That's a deep reach.
I think it's just a random anecdote.
But yeah, I mean, it's just, oh man, it's just so well written, man.
So I think we can all agree that's a 10 out of 10 or a 5 out of 5.
It's a 15 out of 10, man.
Or a 12 out of 12, or it's a top number of any top number.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, man. Oh yeah, let me quickly let me see if I can show you.
We'll need to have a think of our next spoiler special sometime as well. And I'm up for doing not just new films like this, like an older film.
Yeah.
But we all agree to watch it in the week if we've got the time, or we give each other 2 weeks to watch it, so it's not like pressure or anything.
Let me see if I can do this with it working. I don't know if you can see that.
Not really. It's kind of blowed out, just big white squares. I can see some sketches.
And it says I'm retired. Oh, that makes you think I'm retarded. I'm not trying to get cancelled.
Well, I've just purchased Se7en, so that'll be on my watch list as soon as this finishes.
Dude, congratulations, mate. It is an absolute masterpiece.
Purchase successful.
You won't regret it.
Because we have guests on, and sometimes we don't want to dictate things to guests. We want to let them have as long as we want. But nice one.
The best $4.99 of your life, dude.
But I think it's worth we do like a 2-week notice period. Like tomorrow, we message each other about a film that's on streaming that we can all watch. And you don't have to watch it that week. You've got like 2 weeks to watch it, and then so we've got plenty of time. And then if we've got a guest that talks too long, then we don't do a spoiler special. We leave it to the following one. But we should think of another one at some point that's like a classic, like something that people would want to listen to that a lot of people have seen. They just want to hear.
Into Spider-Verse 2.
No. Like Goodfellas, like proper.
Yeah, absolutely. Rewatched that recently, actually.
Or Casino. Yeah.
But we've got to watch it proper recent because my memory's not great.
GoldenEye.
There's loads of films that I've seen millions of times, but if I haven't watched in the last couple of weeks, I won't have.
Lost Boys. I watch Lost Boys all the time.
And it's got to be on a streaming platform we've all got.
Lost Boys is another one for best soundtrack as well.
Yeah, I'm up for doing that one. Well, should we end it there?
Yeah.
Because we went well over our 30-minute threshold there. Thanks for listening to the Se7en Spoiler Special. Join us next week for more shenanigans. And we should have a repeat regular guest on next week, which always makes us laugh. So it should be a funny one next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been Rage Whale. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope you had a whale of a time.